Greetings, YouTube. In the last 24 hours, I've received 3 requests from different summoners to talk about the new patch notes and the new event quest. And, to be honest, my first reaction was the thought of the definition of insanity, which is doing the same thing the same way over and over again and expecting a different result. And to me, that's kind of what event quests have become when it comes to rewards. I have seen several people that I know, both in my alliance and out of the alliance, including some that have commented on this forum post, that no longer do things like the heroic difficulty and worse. I do them every month because I still like the free units, and even though the items aren't great, especially once you get past heroic, because at least 100% heroic gives you 1,000 5-star shards. But besides that, it's nice to be able to 100% clear all content, and you'll get, at least for the initial clear, some free Marvel Insider points, and all that's pretty cool. But at the same time, ever since Uncollected came into the game, and it's been over a year now, we haven't seen a buff to the rewards when it comes to event quests. And I know that for certain people, especially those who are mostly able to only do up into heroic, they find it very frustrating to see the lack of the evolution of rewards in the lower tier of the content. So we're talking about normal and heroic specifically. Beginner, I think, is always going to be beginner. Yeah, you should give them a few more bones from time to time, but beginner is meant to be people who just downloaded the game. If you can beat anybody when you download the game, Lord knows I probably couldn't for weeks when I downloaded the game. Let's just say it took me a long time to even figure out how to block. I was an idiot. But regardless, I think it's time to buff some of these rewards, especially normal and heroic. And then we can also talk about Mastered Uncollected. And I do realize, because I've done enough of these videos, even if I do like one a month, that there's going to be somebody out there who gets triggered, who sees the title of this or hears me talk about it and thinks, oh, here's Prof Off complaining about something else in the game. He's just, it's Mr. Negative. Look, I think a problem is only a problem until a solution. So when I make these videos, I'm not trying to just rant because, I don't want to be the grandpa sitting on the porch talking about how everything is going to hell in a handbasket. Yeah, it's not me. But at the same time, I do see if enough people message me that they're having an issue, and such was the case with the parry issue that I brought up in the past 48 hours with so many people, including myself, suddenly not getting our parries registered or having frame rates dropped that meant really, really unfortunate issues of lag and then ultimately dying because of the lag going into a devastating combo, especially in like day 4 or day 5 of Alliance Quest. But regardless, a lot of people have talked about how because the rewards are so terrible, they'll just not do content that they could easily clear anymore. And I do think that's a problem. I do think that Kabam doesn't want that to be the case, even for people at the very top who've been playing for multiple years like myself and mostly are thinking about new content like Act 6. So let's just talk about what the rewards are and what maybe they should be. And as always, with this kind of video, I appreciate your input because especially those of you who maybe aren't doing Uncollected/Epic yet and you have barely done maybe one run through of Master, it's difficult to know what you need, even if it's just an extra tier 1 alpha, right? I mean, that could be big. So when we talk about rewards, we're talking about, okay, beginner, you get a couple of premium disappointment crystals, right? 150 units, some tier 4 basic catalyst fragments. 900 is so small that for starters, for beginner, it'd be nice to at least get that number up to 3,600. I don't think that's too much to ask. Even for beginners, like that's such a small amount. When you consider that you get a free tier 4 basic every month, anybody, just for logging into the game, and that's 36,000 tier 4 basic catalyst fragments worth of fragments. How is it that you can clear the content and only get 900? That literally makes no sense and needs to be adjusted. But for the most part, beginner, I'm not going to concentrate. Now we have a 3-star. I do think for normal, there should be kind of the equivalent of what we see in the login crystals, which again, you get for free just for logging in. What if it was the same thing? What if it got buffed to where you got a crystal that had like a 20% chance, kind of like the ultimate or legendary crystals we see weekly in the game at this point, where you had a 20% chance for a 4-star of this champion on normal. Because a guaranteed 3-star, unless you don't have it for your collection, you're basically just getting a small amount of 4-star shards, which is what I get every time I get the 3-star featured of normal quests. I'm not saying that 3-star shouldn't be a possibility, which is why I think an 80% drop rate. But to have a better chance to get a 4-star for logging in and doing nothing but logging in than completing the content on normal doesn't make any sense once again. And when you scroll down, this is still only 2,700 Tier 4 basic Catalyst fragments. Why not boost that up to at least 18,000? Why not have half a Tier 4 basic for completing normal? How is that so unreasonable? And why not have the Tier 1 Alpha Catalyst go from 1 to 5 to at least give you a chance to rank one of your 5 stars up from rank 1 to rank 2? That would give players like myself who maybe don't have enough Tier 1 Alphas at your disposal, or when you do, you run out of them quickly, a chance and maybe more motivation to grind the normal quest when normally you wouldn't use the time, and certainly not the energy. Now, Heroic, again, 4,000 premium crystal shards, that's the same you get for beginner. Why not add that like 10,000? At least 5. Premiums are pretty much worthless now anyways. They're mostly disappointment. Now, I do appreciate the best part of Heroic, and I talked about this already, is 1,000 5-star crystal shards. It would be great if they even increased that by 500. Even 15% of a crystal is better than 1,000. In a perfect world, I would say increase this to 1 guaranteed 4-star. So, have 2,000 4-star crystal shards and 2,000 5-star crystal shards. The same amount of 4-star shards and 5-star shards, 20% of a 5-star, and once again, a fully formed 4-star. If you think that's unreasonable, you got to think about how many free 5-star crystal shards we get from the daily calendar now just for logging in. I would also make this at least 5 Tier 1 Alphas to give more people incentives to fully explore Heroic as well. Now, when we're scrolling down to Master, this is where it gets kind of a debate. Because the Master rewards, 10% of a Tier 2 Alpha Catalyst, I get that every week with Glory for free, just running Mat 5 days a week. I think they should double that. I think 7,200 Tier 2 Alpha Catalyst fragments should be the minimum for Master. And on top of that, I think this is really something that you should double the 5-star signature stone crystals. Keep in mind, we're getting 8 generic 5-star signature stones, not stone crystals, signature stones, just for logging in for the special lunar calendar. And in this case, we get 5 1 out of 6 RNG-based signature stone crystals. That's a very small amount. And why not, even in this, have a fully formed Tier 4 basic? You're getting 28,000. Why not up that to 36,000? In fact, I really think it should be 2 fully formed Tier 4 basics. That would not be that hard to come by. And then besides that, double the units. Give them 300 units instead of 150. That'd be nice. And then the Alpha Catalysts, boost that up. I think a minimum, I've said 5, but for Master, 10. 10 Tier 1 Alphas. That would be fantastic. It would solve some issues with farming Tier 1 Alphas. Now and I also want to say for this should be ideally 4,000 5-star crystal shards. Twice as many as Heroic. Heroic, 2,000. Master, at least 4,000, maybe 5,000. And then, now we're going to go to uncollected. I don't mind the 6-star shards. Ideally, they'd only move that to like from 2,500 to 3,000. But I think if you beat uncollected, you should get a fully formed 5-star crystal. You should get 10,000 5-star crystal shards. That's not too much to ask. If you have to bump the 4-star crystal shards down from 4,000 to 2,000 in order to make the 5-star from 7,500 to 10,000, so be it. I also think, at worst, you should be guaranteed half of a Tier 2 Alpha Catalyst with 18,000 Tier 2 Alpha Catalyst fragments. But really, with the difficulty that we've seen, and once again, in 2 straight months until February, we got a fully formed Tier 2 Alpha just for logging in for both the holiday calendar and the January calendar. Why not give people the incentive to fully explore uncollected with a guaranteed Tier 2 Alpha Catalyst? 36,000 Tier 2 Alpha Catalyst fragments, the equivalent of 1 fully formed Catalyst. And then 10 times 5-star signature stones, I think those should be changed from stone crystals to signature stones, the generics, or double the number to 20 5-star signature stone crystals. And then 9,000 Tier 5 basic, I get why that should probably stay the same. In a perfect world, you would move that from 9,000 to 10,000 at least, or really in the perfect world, I should say, it would be 15,000, because then in 3 months of 100% completing uncollected, you'd be guaranteed one fully formed Tier 5 Basic, because we know one fully formed Tier 5 Basic is 45,000 Tier 5 Basic Catalyst shards. And then one Tier 4 Class Catalyst, ideally maybe you'd want two, but that's no big deal. You can keep that at one. So those are my thoughts, and I would love to hear yours. I do think that the majority of people will hopefully see this not as some like complaining rant, but as a necessary thing for the community to discuss, because as the game has continued to evolve, and now we're seeing Map 7 in Alliance Quest, which has Tier 5 basic fragments in those crystals, it's best that the normal monthly event quests have rewards that incentivize players to actually want to do them, even if you're at the very top of the food chain. To get 5 Tier 1 Alphas for completing Heroic, or 5 Tier 1 Alphas for completing Normal, like that might be enough. If you've got a 5-star champion that you need to rank up and you're very low on Tier 1 Alphas, that might be the motivation you need. And I think if you have the roster, you should be able to do it. So that's the end of my rant for the time to buff event quest rewards. Please comment below and let me know what your thoughts are on what the buffs should be. And as always, thank you for watching and supporting my Marvel Contest of Champions YouTube channel.